Oh. What's that? Oh, wait, hold on. No. Okay, we're live.
All right.
There's something to do.
See if he walks across the street.
Are we on something camera right now? Shit, oh, I see.
Oh, you're on comment.
Okay, guys.
Okay. My sister. All right. My sister tuned in, just said we're live, so I think we're live. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Dan Sizer. Just recently started this program called Travelyr. What Travelyr does is we connect with rural artists and rural art centers to bring you live streamed art experiences. This gives you a chance to both, see what rural artists are doing and also connect with your with a rural art center. Today, you can see I'm in a shop. I'm in Peter Smith is a blacksmith in Eastern Oregon in Somerville, and we're going to do a blacksmithing lesson followed by a cooking lesson. All benefits from the show today go to support Art Center East. That's LeGrand's Art Center. It's been around just over 40 years. They were affected by the COVID pandemic, and you can donate easily by clicking the button in your YouTube description. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna introduce Peter, and we're gonna get going. One quick thing: if you have any questions or want to chime in, just message in the chat, and I'll be trying to monitor that, and we'll get your questions answered. So, first things first, safety. So I'm gonna be putting on my blacksmithing safety glasses here. Also a mask, because we might be in a little closer quarters here. And let's introduce Peter. Here we go. Peter, say hi.
Hey everybody, welcome to my shop here at Homestead Springs Farm and Forge. And today we're going to be working on skillets. This is what we do. And first things first, we're going to spin one of these guys. So this is our 10-inch saute pan. And here's basically what I start with. I buy this in 4x10 sheets, and I cut it into squares, and then I've got what's called a circle shear that helps me make this nice concentric ring round guy.
So this is not forging. Is this
Right.
This is spinning?
This is metal spinning, and that's done on this guy.
Let's see, we'll move over here. Okay.
Yeah. That's done on this guy. This is called a spinning lathe.
A spinning lathe.
Yep, and it's purpose built, so it was built expressly for doing this. And it's very heavy, super stable, slow RPM. It only turns at about 800 RPM, and it's lots of power. And then with this roller, we'll move this back here so you can see. This arm produces the power.
Okay.
This one produces the direction. So between the two of them, I basically work this flat disc into this shape.
Okay. Gotcha. And so let's back up a sec. What, Peter, got you into this whole metal spinning? And you're also a blacksmith.
Yep.
And I'm going to just pan across some of your work right here. So this is what Peter makes. And again, we're in Somerville, Oregon, outside LeGrand. We're in Eastern Oregon. I'm in Peter Smith's, Peter Clark. I keep saying Peter Smith? Just twice. Peter Clark's blacksmith shop. There it is. And so, yeah, I think are we actually gonna spin something today, or what are we doing? Okay.
Yep. You want to do that, and then we can talk a little bit about the handles when we launch into the handles?
Yeah, let's just jump into spinning something.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty neat. It happens fast, so I think we'll do two of them so people can kind of see how it goes. So let me sneak by you. I got to turn
Yep.
on the burner.
So again, anyone who's just tuning in, this is Dan Sizer. I'm with Travelyr, and we're out here in Somerville, Oregon, with Peter Clark. He's a blacksmith, and we're about to spin some carbon steel. Is that right?
Yep. So I'm just putting a little wax on there that acts as a lubricant, so that the wheel won't scratch or gall up the steel as I'm spinning it. Here we go.
Wow, you can see that bending.
So that last run that I did over the surface really slowly is to take all the grooves out and leave a nice flat, smooth surface.
Okay.
Because I could push on this hard enough to cut a ring off.
Okay.
That's how much pressure you have.
So there's some finesse to it.
A lot of finesse to it. That's the hardest thing about this is knowing how much pressure and when and where to put it.
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
About 10 years.
10 years. Okay.
Yeah, I first started in 2008.
And what was your first pot like? Was it beautiful or was it warped?
It went to the scrap bin. I probably produced 150 pounds, 200 pounds of scrap before I actually started getting anything.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was
Wow.
really tough because I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, nobody to look over my shoulder and tell me. It was just do this, go to YouTube, see the finer point that I was looking for, come back, try it, failure, success, repeat.
So you're all self-taught.
Pretty much. On this one, I'm 100% self-taught.
Wow. Cool.
So now I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. It's going to get a little loud. You might
Back up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right. Check that out.
Now I take a piece of sandpaper and I've trimmed this, but it's kind of sharp.
Right.
So I take 100 of sandpaper and just run over the edge of it. Make it smooth.
It seems to me you could pretty easily cut your finger on that.
Yeah, it's basically, it's like a meat saw.
Right.
Except now it's dull, so I
Oh,
can
wow.
touch it and,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. It's actually, once you get the burr off, it's very safe.
Okay.
And once you get it cupped over the mandrel, the piece isn't going to fly out. And I've only had one piece not completely come out, but come out enough that it was like, oh, turn it off.
Okay.
So yeah, it's reasonably safe as far as mechanical machines.
Right.
Okay.
Donna Rainboth says, wow, I have visited Peter in his blacksmith shop and own 2 of his pans, but I have not seen him actually spin one. Interesting and impressive.
Thanks, Donna.
Yeah.
Glad you're able to see it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, very cool. Again, anyone who's just tuning in, I see we have some more people. First of all, thank you. And I'm with Peter Clark here in Somerville, Oregon. And we are in his blacksmith shop right now, just finishing spinning our first carbon steel pan.
There we go.
Wow, and that started,
We went from this to that
wow, that in a matter of minutes.
in a matter of minutes.
But you were saying earlier that took you 10 years to be able to do that in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, I've spun literally thousands of things at this point. And it's because I've spun that much that I'm able to do this.
Right.
'Cause,
Wow.
Well, this is what happens all too often.
Yeah.
And I just did that like a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
This is a new product for us. It's a copper bowl, tin lined.
Okay.
And I built a new mandrel, this guy right here. And I was testing it out. It was my first spinning, and I wasn't pushing on this at all.
Whoa.
I was just touching the edge of the mandrel, just going along, and it did that.
Yeah.
So yes, it is very much about finesse.
As much as it's about, I mean, you think of it, blacksmithing is just power and hit, but obviously it takes both.
Yes, and blacksmithing is about power, but it's more importantly about where that power is put and how the finesse is attributed to the metal. Because again, you can overforge something really quickly. It's super easy. So we'll do one more.
Okay, we're gonna do one more of these.
You want to get it nice and centered.
And just see if we can use our little tripod here, make this a little more stable. Look at that. And if anyone has questions while we're doing this, please feel free to write in on the chat, and we'll just ask Peter about his process or any questions you have.
Yep, happy to answer all questions.
We got a message from Tita that says, "This is great, Peter. Hope to see you this in person. Something to be said for practice, eh? Finesse, finesse, finesse."
Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks for the comment, Tita. Thanks for joining us.
So now you're smoothing out that sharp edge of that with some sandpaper.
Yep.
Is it possible to obtain a shot from the other side? We can do that, Paul. Let's see, I'm gonna scoot around. Good point. Yeah, please, if you want something like this, I'm not always thinking of that. So look there.
Just like that. There we are.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
If you've been doing it 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, I looked on my watch. That was, I think, 2.5 minutes.
2.5
from
minutes?
start to
Okay.
finish. Yeah.
Okay. Now the next step for this guy is just show you. I sand the outside on here, and then I sand the inside. Get rid
Okay.
of all these marks and scratches and all that stuff. and then this guy will be ready to put a handle on.
Yeah, cool. Hey, we got another question.
Uh-huh.
Bailey asks, how did you get into this, and what was the first thing that you made?
I got into this, I'm a woodworker kind of by trade. That's how I put myself through college and all that. And I wanted to get a wood shop going 15 years ago, and built it, got a wood lathe, went on YouTube to see what people were doing, saw somebody spin some copper, and was like, oh, I gotta learn this. And little did I know how long it was gonna take me. But I think the first thing I made was just a very flared bowl. It's a real easy shape because you're not taking it all the way in. But
Right.
you got to realign all that material. So it's just a out and out like this type of bowl. And I used a wood form to do that.
Okay. And I have a couple more questions, and I'm not even sure if I'm from. What key is this piece in?
What key? I don't know what that means.
Tita, we're not sure what that means. I'm
Being tone deaf, I'm not sure that I'd know.
and another question here. I'm interested in the differences you find between working with different types of materials.
Every material has its attributes. Even the different types of steel have different attributes. Some are tougher, some are more yielding, some will work harden very quickly, some will never work harden. Stainless for spinning is probably the hardest because it work hardens immediately. I've not spun very much stainless. I've spun lots of copper and this carbon steel that we use for our pans. And when I was first learning how to do this, I didn't know the language. I didn't know how to find the materials. I'd go to the material suppliers, steel yards, and I'd buy hot dip galvanized sheet because that hot dipping removed the stress and made the steel kind of annealed, so it was much more yielding and much easier to work with. When I first started, I used, it's not going to mean anything to a lot of people, but a steel designated as 836, and that is like all the recycled steel. So there's a mixture of all different kinds of alloys in there, and I'm stretching this material. You saw when I trimmed it, part of it was being cut and part of it wasn't. So I stretched it. With that 836, I'd get sections like this long. That would be like an eighth of an inch or a quarter inch longer. It would stretch a whole lot more because it was a softer steel than the surrounding steel.
Oh, wow.
So that just taught me how important it is if you're wanting really consistent work to get really consistent quality of steel. And that's one of my biggest struggles is keeping a supplier of consistent steel.
Huh.
Because
Interesting.
with globalization, my dominant suppliers are Australia, Canada, the US, and China, I think. But it's mostly
Okay.
Australia, Canada, and the US.
Yeah. Really quick on that material, because you said something to me earlier before the stream. You come from a woodworking background,
Yep.
and you mentioned how almost opposites what you do with metal and wood are, like a subtractive additive process. Can you
Right.
really quickly speak to that?
Sure. So the metal is all about, like you saw with this, pushing it around, right? And the wood is all about removing the material. If I was going to do this in wood, I would have taken a chunk this thick and carved the outside and then carved the inside. But this, with force and motion, I can just realign all those molecules. And same thing with a forged handle.
Good segue. Good segue.
Here's what I start with. I don't take anything away except for the little slug that I punch out here. I just move all of this, just push it around. Nothing's fabricated, no weld-on bits or anything like that. It's all just moved with the heat and the power of the power hammers, and hand hammers, and fly presses, and
Right.
like that, which we'll be doing a demo through all of that.
Okay. And is that where we're headed next? You jump into the handles?
If anybody has any more questions or want to see a little forge work,
Yeah, I do, because I think I get to try this out,
You get
right?
to play, yeah.
Okay, I get to play. Let's see, I'm gonna turn this around for a second. Check in, because I just remembered to remind you guys, the second half of this stream is a cooking lesson with John from Jack's Dogs Cafe in La Grande. And the one thing, anyone who's following on with this cooking lesson, you should have marinated your chicken by now. If you haven't, go ahead and get that marinade going, because when we go out to John, he'll already have his chicken marinated and water heating up for his couscous. So, and we're gonna be doing this all in Peter's pan, so very cool.
And on a plancha.
And on a plancha, which we'll probably explain later, but a very cool new thing that Peter's built. So yeah, we're gonna get back into forging again, really quick. Travelyr, our whole goal here is to connect you with cool experiences like this and give you a reason to donate to a local art center that's been affected by the COVID pandemic. So all donations through this session go to Art Center East, which is our local art center here in La Grande, Oregon. And so you can easily donate, any amount you want. You don't have to either. This is free for everyone. But the first link in the YouTube description, go there, click to donate. Really appreciate it. It goes to Art Center East in La Grande. Let's get to forging a handle.
Go on a handle.
Okay, cool.
You're back to me.
I'm back to you, and then we have another comment from Mark. Hi Peter, shop looks good. It's nice to see some of the old equipment in the new shop.
Nice.
Yep, that's Mark coaching.
Coaching.
Yeah, okay,
Hey,
cool.
Mark, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you.
All right, so really quickly, I'm gonna pop down here. This is what we're gonna be making, these handles that
This guy right there.
that guy right there,
and
specifically.
that's our Grand Ronde handle.
Grand Ronde handle.
And the way this got its name is we live in the Grand Ronde Valley, and back before pre-settlement days, there were 200 nautical miles of Grand Ronde River running through this valley, just zigzaggy all over the place. So because of the twists, it named itself.
Right.
I made the handle and I was like, oh, this looks like the Grand Ronde. And the,
Cool.
the big round.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So that's how that got its name.
Okay, well let's go check out our pieces of equipment we're working here with the handle. And that's something to be said, guys. All these pieces are available to purchase. So if you like what you're seeing today, I think you can go to northwestskillet.com. Is that the?
northwestskilletcompany.com.
northwestskilletcompany.com. And a link is in the YouTube description. And you can check out all this stuff for sale as well.
Yep, and learn more about what we do on the farm and everything else we make in the forge. I just showed skillets, but we make utensils and various other things too.
Cool.
Yeah. So the fire's hot.
Oh, there's a fire right there. Look at that.
We got a cooker.
Uh-huh.
So, again, more of the equipment. I made this. I've got one of my spun little vessels right there.
Uh-huh.
There's a cone for that. And
I'm just thinking we might need to speak up a little bit because we're closer to the sound. So.
okay. So yeah, this is all handmade by me. A little spun piece to get the airflow going nicely.
It's right there.
And yeah. So the big red beast behind is a 200-pound Bradley. It's what they call a mechanical hammer. And the 200-pound designation is this guy right here. Weighs approximately 200 pounds, and that's what they call the tub. So that's the top die. And all this machine, all it does is raise and lower that 200 pounds.
Okay.
It takes about 7,000 pounds of mass to make that safe.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's turn it on.
Okay. I'm gonna scoot around on the other side here. Isn't this cool? Let's see, we got some more fire going on. All right, and you're gonna pull that out.
Ready to go?
Okay. Right, but that started out circular and now we're square.
And now we're square.
Okay.
I've got blocks in here to stop it.
Right.
So that it doesn't go any further.
Okay.
So now Dan's going to take a whack at it.
Okay, I'm gonna try to take a whack at it. I'm gonna let that thing do the whacking.
Yeah. grab it back here because it's been in there a while. So we're right here. Okay, here. Here. Okay. Just kind of feel it. It feels warm just moving it around. So what you want to do is you want to keep this guy up, and then when you do the other way, you want that up. Okay. And instead of going back and forth, just keep rolling it around.
All the way one direction.
Yep.
So just keep going like
That's
this.
the way I do it.
Okay, just keep going like
So
that.
you want to do a whole run, and then flip that.
Run front to back.
Yeah.
Okay, because it only comes. Okay, I'm getting like half of this. You can sort of guide me as I go. All right, so I put it on the metal.
You want to make sure that it feels pretty flat.
Okay.
Like right there.
Okay.
And then I'll push down on this guy for you.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right.
I should have had you do that
Right.
earlier.
Right. Yeah, that's
I
okay.
forgot about that.
No, that's okay.
Oh, wow. So
Well,
this-
harder than it looks, everybody. I'm gonna say to keep that square in there.
Okay, next hammer. So with this one,
All right, we need to speak up a little bit, I think.
okay. With this hammer, we're gonna do this taper.
Okay. So we're gonna, and the difference between this hammer and that hammer.
That one has a bigger flat section on it, so
Right.
it makes a nice flat. And this one you can see is much more of a radius with a very small flat on it.
Okay.
So that allows me to make nice tapers
Right.
without big gouges in them
Okay.
pretty aggressively. These are dies that I made.
Okay, so Peter made these dies. This is going to be more of our taper hammer. Right there, you can see how that's just a little flat spot on top. All right.
And then this is a stop so that I achieve a thickness that I want.
Okay. Check out that taper. Yeah. It's already gorgeous.
It was just get better from there.
Yeah.
I'm going to step over here real quick. I've got a sledge block set up over here.
Okay.
So that I can get this little bit of bend down.
Okay.
Straighten it out.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan. Here's where it is challenging.
Okay, this part looks challenging.
It is
Okay,
challenging.
I'll throw the camera. This is our camera right here. My turn to
Sure.
take a whack at this.
You want me to run the foot pedal again?
What do you think?
Go for it. If you're up for it, let's go for it.
Okay, so
every bit of forging. Fire is the tool that you're using. This is an assistant. Fire is allowing this to do its work. If you don't have a commandant, it's not going to do the work.
to make sure everyone heard that, but Peter's just saying the fire does the work for you. So we're putting that back in there because I'm a little too slow.
It wasn't moving. It got too cold.
Right.
It was making the hammer work too hard.
Yeah, okay.
So the next step, we're going to go over to the fly press.
Right, do we want to just, maybe we'll let you just continue yours.
Okay.
And as long as that's not gonna be, you can fix that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So I just heated that last end there because that's where I'm going to be doing the work. So
Right.
what I'm going to do is isolate off a little mass, and then I'm going to go to this vise and we'll do a twist on it. So two different moves. I will reheat it.
Okay.
Here we go. I was going to change this.
Oh, that's okay. I'm gonna try to get the camera set here.
Typically don't want this collision.
Right,
I usually have the handle out here. But
Okay.
In my setup, I forgot to do it, and then it just never got done.
Well, that's A-okay. I think we still get the point, so we're heating that back up.
Yep.
And again, remind me, we're just making the knock with that, or sort
You just see. I just put that notch in there.
Okay.
To isolate off that little square.
Right. Which will turn in.
That turns into this.
Okay. Perfect. Gotcha.
But first, we got to put this twist in it.
Okay. Put the twist in first.
Yep.
And then you can hang all your pots from your kitchen.
From
right?
your
Yeah.
from your nice pot rack.
Yeah, your nice pot rack. Again, if anyone has questions as we're doing this process, just shoot them into the chat message there and we'll try to answer them. Again, Peter Clark here, blacksmithing for 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Full time for 10 years. I started again in about 2008.
Okay.
Got my first introduction in college back in the late 80s and 90s. And then life intervened, you know, other career, other pursuits. Yeah, I always had this passion kind of back in my head. And when the recession of 2008 came around, it just looked like an opportunity to me to try to jump back into this.
Right.
So that's what I did. I didn't realize it was going to be a total life, career, everything change.
Yeah.
It was, and I'm grateful.
Yeah. And a cool thing is too that we might not meet her, but your wife Sue
Yeah.
is all about sort of, you know, grass-fed farming and what you raise: poultry, sheep, pigs.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's what I like to call beyond organic. Everything here is we try to work within the biodynamic systems and have everything enhance and help everything else. And so for her to produce the food that we use in the pans that I produce, it's just magic to us.
Yeah.
It's just super cool.
Which is exactly what we're going to be doing today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I quench this end so that I can put it in the vise without smashing it.
Oh, okay.
And then I cool this to help define where I want the twist to be. Because I've got a taper here, that means thin stuff's going to twist easier than the thick stuff.
Right. And what kind of temperatures are we working with? Like when that's red hot? Oh, all right.
About 1800 degrees, somewhere in there.
1800 degrees. Full body twist right here.
Yep. So I got to run over and straighten that out a little bit.
That seems to be a nice thing about this art. It's you can adjust things pretty easily.
It's really a series of corrections. You know, you send it in a direction, and through all the varieties and means that you use to manipulate it, they don't always have equal impact. But you can always correct it where it strays a little bit. So there we are, we're back.
Yeah, very neat.
Straight. So we'll go back in the fire, and the next thing I'm going to do is flatten that down a little bit so I can create a round with it.
Right, okay, cool. Again, folks, a reminder for anyone who's following along in our cooking lesson, which is coming up here probably 10-15 minutes. John's outside preparing all the ingredients, and you will need your chicken marinated. So now you have 15 minutes to marinate your chicken, let's say, if you haven't done it already. And we'll be cooking in one of Peter's pans, I believe.
We'll be cooking a little bit in the pan, but we're also producing a new item that I just made a couple of weeks ago. It's a plancha, which is basically in Spanish means grill or griddle.
Right.
Big round guy, heated with the wood fire.
Okay,
so
cool.
he's going to be working on that and using a pan a little bit.
So hopefully we've got some coals going out there by now as well.
The fire started.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Yeah.
So we're at heat.
Okay.
I always have earplugs in when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's amazing how loud this is.
Yeah. For some reason, my chat's not showing up. So I'm gonna answer some of these questions. I just got notified. I'm not seeing all our messages here.
Oh, okay.
So apologies for that. But Timothy asked, how thick is the metal that you're spinning?
Oh, that I'm spinning?
Mm-hmm.
It's just about a little over a 1/16 of an inch.
Okay, 1/16 of an inch on that metal. Sorry about the late reply there, Timothy. And then Deborah, so awesome to see these local artists doing their craft, such inspiring talent. Especially me getting to try this out. It's like, yeah, wow. You are definitely an artist at the top of your trade. And then Deborah also says, how far out are your orders for skillets?
We have some in stock right now, and we've got to get more made.
Right.
So on our website, it'll tell you what's sold out and what's not.
And again, that link is in the description of the YouTube channel
Yep.
to their website. And Larry's got a great question.
Right there, Northwest Skillet.
Look at that. Zoom in on that.
There you go.
Yeah. Bam. There it is, folks. Northwest Skillet Company. Larry asked, tell us a little more about the advantages of using carbon steel for cooking.
Carbon steel, in my mind, is like the best. It's a very fine-grained material, transmits the heat pretty well. Not as well as copper, but better than cast iron. So for that reason, it can be thinner. Well, let me back up. Carbon steel is more fine-grained, so it's stronger, so it can be thinner, which translates into less mass being heated.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to preheat. They transmit the heat through the body of the pan very quickly. So we never cook on high. We just don't do it. Medium to low is where we stay. Searing steaks, cooking eggs, whatever.
So do you lose some heat retention then and get hot spots easier than cast iron, or?
We don't get hot spots faster, and the heat retention, that's kind of a funny thing because when you want it hot, you turn it up.
Yeah.
When you want to stop cooking, you turn it down.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you wanted to take a hot skillet with a fajita in it or a steak or something like that to the table for serving, it stays warm for that,
Yeah.
for sure. It does really well for that. So no seasoning required. You season it as you go, kind of thing. When you do your cleanup, it's very similar to the cast iron. Hot water, soft cloth, and just wipe it out. We put ours on the stove top to dry it using heat, and then we wipe it with an oily rag, olive oil or avocado oil, whatever your favorite cooking oil is. And there you go. And there's no chemical coatings, no toxic stuff to leach into your food. It's one of the purest ways to cook that I've found because it's iron, carbon, manganese, and phosphorus. That's it. We need phosphorus, we need iron. Carbon is a huge element on the planet, so it's very, very harmonious with our bodies.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a very healthy way to cook.
Very cool. And I just like, it's like a little bit lighter weight.
Yes.
Because like I run a company called Go Wild that does backpacking trips, and we've been using cast irons, which is a lot of weight to pack into the wilderness.
It is.
But we need them for the kind of stuff we do. But I think one of your pans would work just as well.
And as far as the carrying part of it, it's going to work better.
It's going to work better, yeah.
And the nice thing with these guys too, if you're cooking over a fire, you're not going to have a big raging fire to keep that pan hot.
Right.
You can really get into the coals. It's much more subtle. And one of the things that I've found is you're just not using as much heat, i.e. you're not using as much resource. It's not costing as much to keep that pan hot.
Right.
So that's a big benefit that we don't really talk about much. And I think about it because we're on propane here.
Yeah.
So, put in an on-demand hot water heater and cook on carbon steel. Your usage goes way down.
Yeah. Better for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Where are we in our process here?
So let's see. We are at punching a hole in this guy.
Okay.
So we'll be right here at the anvil.
Okay.
So this.
Thank you for those questions, guys. I'm sorry I didn't get to those earlier.
Definitely. Thank you. Bring on more.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a bigger hammer so I can drive this through. there's a little slug I punched out. That's all I lose.
What is it?
That little guy right
That
there.
little guy right there.
And
Wow.
it came out of that hole.
Yeah.
So I didn't lose a bunch of material. I just pushed it to the side.
Uh-huh.
And I'm using a mixture of graphite and water right here. So again, carbon and water. And this is a lubricant. Graphite is a fantastic lubricant. And I've got it on a little acid brush. And this I use to expand that hole.
Okay.
So I coat it with the graphite so that it goes through easier, less resistance.
Yeah.
And because it's got water in it, when I'm in production on these things, it's actually cooling this tool off too.
Uh-huh.
So it's a two
Again,
for
an
one
efficiency thing again.
efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah. I would not have thought that graphite was a great lubricant. I don't know. It just didn't appear to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And no smoke. The only smoke is steam. You know, some people use grease, they use lard, they use bacon fat, all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah.
And I found this to be the best.
Okay.
It's a little messy, but it's a blacksmith shop. I'll let that get a little bit hotter,
Okay.
and then we'll make a hole.
Good.
Good.
All right. So again, I'm going to do our plug here one more time because we're getting ready to go out to our outdoor kitchen and do our cooking. So if you are going to follow along with us and cook this Moroccan chicken dish we have, maybe start getting some of your stuff ready. Hopefully that chicken's already been marinating. And so we're going to go visit John with Jack's Cafe, Jack's Dog's Cafe, and that's in La Grande. He's our local chef. He'll be cooking this Moroccan chicken and couscous. So getting excited for that. I don't know, I'm getting a little hungry. Yeah. Cool. And like I said before, everybody, this does benefit Art Center East in La Grande. That's why we do these things. And so if you feel obliged, just click that donate button in the YouTube description and give whatever you can. Otherwise, thanks for following along and ask us any questions as we sort of dive more into the world of blacksmithing and steel spinning and in a second here cooking. Thanks a lot.
Okay. It's hot, ready to roll. So this spins, so don't get too close to it.
Okay. What we're doing here is we're enlarging that hole in the end of it with this sort of tapered, I don't know what's this machine called?
This is called a fly press,
Okay.
and this tool is called a drift.
A drift.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can see how that has that tapered in that made this hole bigger.
Yeah.
All right.
So now I got it just a little bit more dressing up to do there.
Okay. Classic blacksmith tool right there, the anvil. I like it.
Can't do anything without an anvil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take this hammer, the ball peen hammer, and it just puts a little chamfer inside that hole.
And you were telling me earlier that hammer on hammer is sort of a big no-no of blacksmithing,
Yep.
right? So explain why you were able to do it right there.
Because I'm hitting hot steel, which is soft. It gives it a little bit of a yield.
Right.
So if I were to take this, and I'm not hitting super hard either. If I were to do this here and hit it really hard, one of these two faces could explode.
Okay.
It's not to say that they would, but they could.
Right, and that's why that's a huge taboo of blacksmithing then.
Yeah. But if you look at this rack over here, these are all hammers. Well, these guys, this guy, this guy, this guy, these here, and a couple other ones are essentially hammers that get hit. But these heads are softer, so you can hit them super hard. And you can see this is mushroomed out like that.
Yeah.
And these chips, I'll grind those off fairly soon so they don't blow off of there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I've got a question just to indulge my inner child. Have you ever made a sword?
Have I ever made a sword? I have not.
No.
I've made some knives.
Okay.
Swords, you saw just that little bit
Right.
how challenging this can be.
Right.
Getting a blade that long in appropriate sword thickness and straight is really hard.
Right.
Really hard. Like,
So you were talking earlier how this is one of the oldest art forms, really. I mean,
yeah. We're done with this guy.
we're done. Okay.
Yeah, this is the noble craft. This is the trade that made everything for the Industrial Revolution. I mean, without the blacksmith, you didn't have hinges, you didn't have nails, you didn't have knives, hatchets, the tools to make lanterns, leather craft, you didn't have the needles. I mean, the blacksmith, all the carving tools, blacksmiths made everything.
Yeah.
You know, the stonemasons, they didn't. You can break stone with stone, but steel lasts a whole lot longer.
Yeah. Cool. So are we done in the blacksmith shop?
We are done in here.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go see what John's up to.
Okay. Let's go see what John's up to. So part two of
Turn my gas.
Okay, part two of our experience. Here, I'm going to show you these finished products one more time. Check out how beautiful these pans are. And you'll see some of these are sort of bluish. And Peter, you were saying that's all has to do with heat?
Yes. So these are very blue, and what I do is I clean this surface absolutely spotless. It would be like surgically clean. There's no oil on it, there's no dirt on it, anything. And then I heat it to about 700 degrees, and that's just a natural reaction with the steel and the heat.
Okay.
And this is a micro thin layer of carbon on here, which adds to the stick resistance of these pans.
Okay.
So that's like beginning the seasoning process.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said these really don't need that much season, like you don't have to season it like people.
Right. You don't
think.
like the cast iron. They recommend 12 coats of whatever oil cooked on in the oven or on the stovetop. We've tried probably 10 different seasoning protocols. And one day I took this size pan into the house and I just put it on the stove and cooked an egg in it. And I was like, wow, that didn't stick at all.
Huh. Wow.
We don't have to season these things. We just start using them. So we
Yeah.
tell people just to use them. Cook on low heat in the beginning. As you learn how heat responsive they are, you can grade your heat accordingly, but start low because they are so responsive.
Right. And that's cool. That's like a chef's dream.
Yeah. And they're super hardy.
Yeah. All right, we are exiting the blacksmith shop, and I'm going to take you out here to where John's got a fire roaring, and we're going to start our little cooking lesson. So get your maybe move to your kitchen wherever you're at, and we're going to see what's up with John out here. There he is, the man himself. All right, John, where do you want me? Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Great.
yeah, we've got quite the setup here. John, why don't you start by just introducing yourself to our viewers?
Hi, my name's John Hancock. I own Jigsaw Cafe and Books in LeGrand, Oregon.
Cool. And you've been, how long have you been in LeGrand then?
Oh, over 20 years.
Okay.
I was born in
Okay.
town, yeah.
But the Jigsaw Cafe is rather new, or
About 6 years.
6 years? Okay. And what's your? It's a cafe. You do coffee, but also you have a whole line of food.
We do. We have
Okay.
a commercial kitchen. I do a lot of baking.
Okay.
Fresh baked bread, rolls, cookies every day, homemade soups, and special entrees, salads.
Yum. Okay.
It's a pretty limited menu.
Right.
But things rotate
Okay.
daily or weekly, depending.
And you're operating during COVID right now?
We are.
Okay. Cool. For takeout or?
Right now we're doing takeout only.
Okay.
We did go back to the dining for a little bit.
Right.
But right now it's just for takeout, and we'll see what the future brings with that.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm going to catch up with our comments here really quick before we jump into John. Do you ever hit the metal hard? Joe, I think we, yes, answer that question.
Is that Joe Elliott?
Yeah.
Of course it's Joe Elliott.
I bet he uses a, yeah, sorry.
One Heat Joe.
One Heat Joe. All right. So we're going to jump into this. Do you want to sort of explain what we're cooking here and then what you have out on the table?
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're going to be making a Moroccan couscous salad with some chicken, and we're going to be using Peter Clark's newest contraption here. This is called a La Plancha. Use a griddle, and we sauteing some onions up here and doing our chicken up top.
Okay.
It's should be an interesting piece.
Right. And this is brand new, Peter, and you said this is it hails from Argentina?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. And then let's see, our ingredients, are those, is that dates we have, or?
So we got some mission figs. some
Figs,
fresh
that's right.
meat. We've got some greens from the garden up here.
Okay.
From Homestead Springs. And then I've got a whole chicken that was provided to me from Sue and Peter here.
Okay.
And it's I broke it down and had it marinating since yesterday.
All right, that's what we all should have been doing.
But if you had it just marinating for an hour, you're good too.
Okay.
And also a little tip, if you're gonna do chicken, it's always great to get a whole chicken, learn how to break it down, get a good knife, save back those other parts
Okay.
for soup stock.
Yeah, very cool.
So I'm gonna start my couscous here.
Okay. And if you don't know someone like Peter and Sue who, sell whole chickens, can you, because I don't even know the answer to that, can you buy a whole chicken at Safeway?
Oh, you
Or-
certainly can.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a few people here locally that you can find chickens from.
Okay.
I think community merchants as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Merchant sells them. I believe Heinz Meat sells them,
Okay.
and of course we do.
Right. So yeah, anywhere you are probably in the world watching this, you can probably do some Googling or asking around and find someone that's raising chickens, and
Absolutely.
hopefully.
Yeah, you can find
Just-
one of those, great.
Yeah.
And if you're shopping in a supermarket as well, like I said, it's more economical
Mhm.
to get a whole bird.
Right. Yeah. Very cool.
So I just added my couscous to my seasoned water. That's gonna be boiling away here. It cooks like a pasta.
Okay.
So basically what it's going to do, the pearls are going to absorb the water completely. So unlike cooking pasta where you drain it off, what
Mhm.
we're going to try to do is have it just be some nice individual couscous pearls.
Right. Okay.
So that's going.
And so that probably just takes experimentation, getting the water the right amount sort of there, so
It
you're not
does.
draining it off.
Yeah, and there's also some holdover time on this, so you can keep it covered and it will keep absorbing the water.
Okay. And again, folks, one really cool part of this whole process here is that we walked out of the blacksmith shop and we are out on Peter and Sue's farm. I'll give you a quick shot of what we're seeing here. But I got to meet the pigs earlier out there. So they raise pork, lamb. Got to meet the lambs and chicken, which is what we're using today. So sort of everything you need right here, which is very neat. Especially if you have John come up. It's pretty cool. We got.
He's a fantastic cook. I've eaten quite a few of his meals. They're really good.
Yeah.
It's a real pleasure and honor to have him here, actually.
We also behind the scenes over here. Say hello. Jen, why don't you introduce yourself? Because you're part of the whole process as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Laura, John's wife, and we're partners in the business. And I kind of manage the bookstore part of it, and
Okay.
then jump in the kitchen, and just do whatever
Right.
whatever needs to be done. I enjoy doing everything. So
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna try to get our tripod set here so everyone can see what's going on.
I've never seen anybody cut an onion that way. Okay.
All right, so we've just added our onion to our skillet there, and this is going to go into what? What process are we at right now?
So the sauteed onions are going to be a garnish
Okay.
for the salad. Let's go do this whole onion here.
Again, if anyone has questions for John during this process, just text him into the chat, because this is a great opportunity to pick the ears of a chef at work. Yeah, so I'll try to be monitoring the chat a little better, so just shoot him over. Yeah, hopefully you're enjoying this.
So I think I got this thing hot now. Yeah. So I've been stoking it now for a little bit. Seems to be doing pretty good.
Looks pretty good.
You know, I've sort of heard about that trick you just did, but you just flicked water on the top of it, right?
Just kind of trying to check the temperature since there's
Okay.
no thermostat.
Right.
Build it up a little bit more.
We have Deborah White wrote in, John Hancock is a culinary gift to Union County. Jack's Cafe Dog Cafe is sweet and savory taste of goodness. Lauren Bailey, keep a good vibe to that cafe. Love this place.
You're all very kind.
Thank you, Deborah. That's awesome. How long have you been cooking, John?
Cooking probably, well, on and off for 25 years.
Okay, and you're 26?
Yes, I'm 26. So I've basically been in the restaurant industry since I was 16. Started
Okay.
washing dishes, like most people in the industry have.
All right, Paul says we can barely hear John, so we might speak up. There's a lot of ambient fire noise and whatnot, so we'll just talk a little louder.
Right, fire is good.
Fire is good. What inspired you to start Jack's Dogs Cafe?
Well, I've been cooking for quite a few different restaurants, locally and in other places.
Mhm.
Worked my way up from the bottom in several of those, and the time just kind of presented itself. I was in between jobs, and I found a perfect spot that would allow me to start up pretty relatively inexpensively, and
Okay.
just kind of built from there.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So right now I'm just doing some salad garnish. And while those onions are cooking, I'm thinking about my thyme for throwing the chicken on. Give you guys a few more minutes to marinate your chicken.
Right. Any of us who threw the chicken in when I reminded us at the beginning. Do you have a favorite reason to cook, or sort of what inspires you to cook? What do you like about it?
Honestly, I like the schedule.
Okay.
I like being able to time things.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have a lot of things going on at once and then have them all come together.
Right.
So I do, as I said, I bake a lot. So
Okay.
while I'm doing my baking, I'm also doing a lot of stuff, making soups at the same time, getting the prep ready to open up for breakfast or lunch.
Right. So it's almost like that intensity and like time management. You thrive off that.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
It helps to have a schedule.
Right.
Keep that schedule the same every day if you can. If you deviate, it's all right too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we sort of just talked about this, but yeah, new comment. What do you love about cooking? But yeah, so you love the schedule. Anything else besides the
I like to eat.
Hey, me too.
I really enjoy making things from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
think that the reward is definitely in learning how to season your food, how you like it, and if it's something you really like Laura and I will make stuff at home,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's something that we really like a lot, then we'll bring it into the restaurant and see how the customer likes it.
Okay.
So that's always an experiment, but if
Right.
it works out, it's really gratifying as well.
Yeah. What would you tell someone who maybe like wants to get into cooking, but doesn't have any experience working in a restaurant or doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing you probably need to do is see if you can't get a job washing dishes, because hands down, that is the most important job in the restaurant.
And why do you say that?
Because you get to see from the back of the house perspective what the cooks are doing, what the prep cooks are doing, what the front of the house is doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, you're going to find that the cooks need some help in the kitchen. So it's a great gateway to get in there and start learning how to do some prep and help the kitchen crew out.
Oh, cool.
I've done that several times. The first time I did that, I think I actually wanted to go onto the floor and become a server.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier on in my restaurant career, that was the path that I chose. It wasn't until later that I actually got into cooking.
Right.
So as advice-wise goes, try to learn everything you can from the back of the house, probably starting off in the dish room.
Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, Keston, well, that's not Keston's question. That was my question. But yeah, there's a lot to love about cooking. I think probably one of my favorite things is getting to eat what I cook and share what I cook.
Absolutely.
I'm by no means at your level though.
It's a fun tool if you don't have one. It's called a channel knife. It's good for doing large zesting for coffee drinks, or you can use it for decorative work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun things like this that make cooking a little, because that's strictly for aesthetic value, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is cut things on a bias,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to make it a little bit more interesting when you plate it.
Right.
You want your food to look nice
Mm-hmm.
as well as taste good.
How important do you think plating is?
It's at least half of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Let's go ahead and check on the couscous here.
Okay, checking on the couscous.
It's coming together.
It definitely expanded in volume a lot.
Yeah.
See?
I'm going to let it go for a few more minutes,
Okay.
and then we'll turn off the heat
Okay.
and just let it coast.
Yeah.
Digging the cooler here.
Oh, hey, no worries. What would you say are the most essential kitchen appliances? Maybe like besides, a knife, obviously, cutting board, but like what are some ones that people wouldn't think of that you find yourself using all the
A
time?
knife, number one.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The main things you're going to need is probably a good knife,
Mm-hmm.
a good peeler, whisk, spatula, mixing bowls,
Right.
and probably if you're into baking and stuff, I use a pastry dowel instead of a rolling pin.
Oh,
It's a little bit more compact and
Okay.
versatile, I think.
a pastry dowel. I don't even know what that is, but okay.
It's just like you think. It's a dowel.
Uh-huh.
It's about an inch and a half thick,
Okay.
and those things work great for rolling out pie doughs and
Yeah.
cardamom rolls. That's what I use.
Okay. Oh, very nice.
So definitely invest in. It doesn't have to be a large investment, but a decent quality knife, some good stainless steel mixing bowls,
Right.
Measuring spoons, measuring cups, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Absolutely. Just some basic stuff.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Cutting boards. That's everybody's got a different opinion on cutting boards.
Uh-huh.
Plastic, bamboo, or wood.
Okay. Do we have any questions from our audience over here?
You're smelling good.
Yeah, it is smelling good. I wish everyone watching could smell what we're smelling here because.
Hey, are you caramelizing those onions then? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I think so. They've got a little ways to go.
Right. Okay. Check on the onions over here.
So one thing I could do is try to find. The wind's been blowing from back this way, so if I put them towards the front, it might go a little faster.
Right.
Now you have a couple of Peter's skillets, right?
I do.
Shop.
Yeah. So John cooks on Peter's skillets at Jack's Dogs Cafe and Books. So you're not. This isn't your first time cooking on a Peter Pan. Peter Pan.
There you go.
I'm sure that joke's been made before.
It's been made.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
try to discourage it.
Well, I did it on accident, so no offense, Peter.
No, no. A good friend of mine down in California came up with that. She's like, "You got to name your business that." I said, "Absolutely not."
And Sue's behind me here, and you've been to, is it Argentina where the plancha's from?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay.
I can't claim to actually have seen any planchas when
Oh.
I was in
Oh,
Argentina.
okay.
It was more about the roasted meats
Right, but
over an open fire when I was there.
okay, which is maybe why they've developed this, because they're so into their meats and grilling down there. Because I think this is just such a cool contraption, and you can see here, it's sort of, I don't know. Do you want to sort of explain this, Peter? What's going on? Because we've got 2 levels here.
Kind of got 3.
3. Okay.
We've got the base, which is a tripod,
Mhm.
which means it's going to sit solid on the ground no matter what.
Okay.
There's no third or fourth leg out there wobbling around. And then the bowl of the fire bowl is mostly a circle, right? It's kind of a flat on the bottom circle.
Right.
And that means that it can pivot inside that cradle of 3. So that becomes real solid and stable, and you can get it level so that when you're putting liquid on the top, it's not running off one side or the other.
Right. It's totally adjustable.
Totally
there.
adjustable.
Yeah.
Yep. And the wedges and the stretchers you see on the bottom, that all comes apart. So this thing packs down, and the feet that the griddle top is sitting on, those come out too. So
Okay.
this thing collapses down to probably 10 inches
Right.
in material height.
Pretty easy to throw in the back of a truck or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and a buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty heavy.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I haven't weighed it yet, but it's in the 100-pound range,
Okay.
70 to 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And my good friend Jorgen Hurl brought one here a year ago, and I was like, I want to make one. So
Right.
he kind of coached me through this one, just opening sizes and getting so that the heat's right, the bowl depth so you get a good fire going in there, those kinds of critical points.
How are onions doing over there?
They're getting there.
All right.
Just about ready to throw the chicken on there.
Okay.
Smells good. Looks good.
So is that skin on or skin off?
Skin off.
Skin off.
Skin off. Okay.
It looks like we kind of filleted it out a little bit.
Yeah. So folks at home doing this could be doing this in sort of what would be the ideal pan,
Carbon steel or cast iron.
right? Okay.
Or if you're outside barbecuing too.
Yeah. Barbecue it. Yeah.
That smells really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Does smell good. So, and if you weren't doing this with a whole chicken and you had to go to the store, would you buy breast meat, thigh meat? What?
That's really a personal preference.
Okay.
I really like thigh meat.
Uh-huh.
It stays moist. But if you're cooking for not just yourself, you probably find that people like one or the other. So
Right. Might as well just do both.
might as well just do both.
Do they cook differently, or I mean, you've got a bunch of different cuts going on here, right? Or is this all?
Yeah. So this is thigh meat and breast meat and leg meat
Okay.
and some of the wings too.
Yeah, we're just throwing it all on.
Throw it all.
What kind of oil are we using?
So I used some canola to season it at first, and now I'm using a little bit of olive oil.
Okay. Canola to season at first, and then a little bit of olive oil. But with the sun plus the fire, there's a lot of heat right now. Yeah, it's hot out here.
It's supposed to be 90 today. I don't think it made it
Not,
there.
yeah, not quite.
So the couscous.
Okay, we've got our couscous. Oh yeah, it really did soak up like all that water.
I do like to add a little bit of olive oil and mix that in there too.
Okay, olive oil in the couscous.
So you should have start with the seasoned water and some salt
Okay.
according to the recipe.
I've heard that.
That's the way I like to do it. You can cook
Okay.
rice like this as well.
Oh really? Okay. And then another thing I've heard is that with pasta, you don't need to wait till it's boiling. You can just like throw it in right away. Do you have any opinion on? I've heard like there's varying opinions on whether you wait for water to boil.
Sure. I think that you should salt the water
Uh huh.
as much as you like. If you
Okay.
want to, and then I think it should be at a full boil when you add the pasta.
Okay. Yeah.
And then just in the first stages of cooking,
Mhm.
You want to take a spatula or a spoon and separate the pasta
Right.
just a little bit, maybe a couple of times.
Mhm.
When it's starting out, so the starch doesn't bind.
Doesn't
stick together.
clump together and you're chewing on a mouthful of spaghetti noodles.
Exactly.
Any I guess where'd the inspiration for this meal come from? Like why a Moroccan? I mean, you were dealing with what we had on the farm, but anything else?
Yeah, I was really pretty enamored with the idea of the history of spices.
Uh-huh.
Everybody has a spice cupboard, or hopefully you do. Everybody's grandma had a spice cupboard. And
Right.
you look at all those things and kind of take them for granted. The old McCormick canisters
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that are probably maybe past their prime and a little dried out. And
Right.
You don't really know what to use them for. But if you have a good resource for spices, and you can go get a bunch of different things and try them out, Indian cooking or Moroccan foods and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it really just it really makes a meal.
Right.
And the combination of different spices for different dishes
Uh-huh.
is just, I think it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
It changes the flavor profile for any dish.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just cooking with butter, and salt, and pepper,
Right.
you're actually kind of expanding all the flavors that you can get out of a dish,
Mhm.
onions or your chicken or anything else.
Yeah. That's one thing for me that's always intimidating with cooking is spices. So like, just cooking a lot and just looking at recipes, or is there any shortcut to figuring out your spices?
Just experiment, find out what you like.
Yeah.
Probably the easiest thing to do is to oversalt your food.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to watch that as far as how much salt you add to something.
What's your process for coming up with a new menu item at the cafe?
It could be just looking through a recipe book. It could be something I saw online.
Right. I mean, you said you and Laura will try something and if you like it, bring it in.
One of my favorite things to ask him is what do you have that, you know, what do you have on hand? What's like in season, what's readily available that we can use, you know?
Right.
And then we kind of just brainstorm,
Right.
you know, kind of around one central ingredient and then kind of spins off from there, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Give yourself sort of a box to work
Yeah,
in and then
yeah.
like, yeah, what's fresh.
Right.
And that's probably good advice for anyone at home is like, you know, see what's in season, what's the most fresh, and then see what you can do with it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, you know, let your imagination kind of run wild. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, because lots of things that we come up with are not necessarily, you know, flavor combinations that
Right.
immediately would come to mind, you know? And so, like, it's, you know, surprise yourself. Allow yourself to be surprised.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So John cooks all day at work. Do you guys share cooking at home or?
We do. We cook
Yeah.
a lot together. at
Okay,
home.
cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. But there's always certain things that it's like, he can only make, you know, 'cause
Oh.
it only tastes right if he makes it, you know, for sure.
Well, I'm sure there's the same with you though.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
Like scrambled eggs, I can do
Ooh,
scrambled eggs.
nice.
Pretty good.
Okay, well that's
He usually defers to me for scrambled eggs.
yeah, easier said than done. Scrambled eggs can be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to something else over here, it looks like.
So we're gonna make our tzatziki sauce.
Okay.
It's a really simple dressing. You can put together really easily with very minimal ingredients.
Okay.
So it's gonna start off some yogurt, plain yogurt, not sweetened. You can use whatever milk content you want, milk fat content.
Okay. I have a comment about your truck, Peter. Nice dump truck. 2 exclamation marks.
Thank you, whoever.
Alexander Miller.
So for this, it's going to be black pepper, granulated garlic, got some fresh dill,
Mm.
a little bit of salt, and sugar.
Okay.
So you want to whip this together. I let it stand for a couple of minutes to kind of let the spices meld and the sugar and salt dissolve.
Okay.
Let that stand, and then we'll add our lemon juice at the very last.
Okay.
Super easy.
Yeah, I mean that's done pretty much what you just did, right? That's the tzatziki sauce.
Really close. Yeah?
Okay. Oh, we're getting some good char on our chicken. Look at that. How important would you say is a meat thermometer in the kitchen?
It's really important.
Okay.
So some of this is going to be done here really quick. This chunk here is going to hang out for a while.
Right.
I just threw a couple more logs on this, so it's starting to cook a little faster.
All right. Yeah.
Trying to regulate the temperature on this is actually fairly easy.
Okay.
Pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, that's easy is fun with
You can
regulating.
see when you go down about probably 50 degrees or so, and you can bring it back up.
Very cool. All right, this is probably, my camera worked really hard to hear the chef, so we'll try to get a little closer to you, John, when we're talking. I'm gonna spin around here. You guys can see my face since we're outside. Check in with you. And do my little plug again, because we're doing this. If you haven't heard me already, I mean, it's probably the fourth time I said this, but to benefit Art Center East, which is our rural art center here in La Grande. So there is that link on the bottom of on the top of the YouTube description. You can find it there, and you can do, you know, a one-time donation, recurring donation, whatever. Anything helps, and that'll go straight to Art Center East. And also in the YouTube description there, you'll find links to Peter's work with the skillets. You find a link to the Jack's Dogs Cafe Facebook page. You can follow them, see what they're up to, hit them up for, you know, whatever you want. And then links about Travelyr and what we do, as well as a description about Art Center East, and then the recipe for this. If you're not following along doing the cooking with us, you can find that recipe in the YouTube description, or on our website, or on the Facebook page. So it's everywhere. Check that out. And again, thanks for everyone who's hanging out with us. Looks like we are getting sort of close to our meal time here.
Certainly smelling like it.
Certainly smelling like it. Is this a meal that you guys serve in Jack's Dogs?
We serve a similar meal. We
Okay.
serve a Moroccan couscous bowl with a chicken or vegetarian with avocado.
Okay, yum.
This is kind of inspired by a dish that we make at home, where we make spaghetti, say, or whatever pasta you like, and we serve it on a bed of greens with either fresh vegetables or grilled vegetables.
Okay.
It's a nice summer salad, but you kind of get the best of having an entree meal with a salad.
Right, yeah. And so is that a warm pasta and warm greens on top then?
Yeah, so I like to put the greens underneath the pasta.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So they get a little heat themselves
They
then.
do, they get a little
Yeah,
salty.
cool.
Get a little, yeah.
So I don't know if you caught that, but I just threw a little bit of red wine vinegar in the pan,
Oh, awesome.
and then just a pinch of salt, and that should bring up the flavors pretty nice. We'll just set those aside.
And throwing that red wine vinegar in, that's just to give it a little pizzazz. And do you want to, I mean, cook the alcohol off of that, or how does that work?
There's no alcohol in it. It's
Oh.
just vinegar.
Oh, vinegar. I was thinking of red wine. Yeah, right. So red wine vinegar.
So you can use wine to deglaze a pan,
Mhm.
but I really enjoy using vinegars for a lot of different things for seasoning,
Okay.
especially for saute work.
Yeah. And so you'll just throw it in at the end, sort of. It's just a splash of it.
Yep.
Neat.
And that acts as your deglazer too.
It does.
It just pulls all that stuff. Huh,
Mhm.
I've never
Now
done that.
it might mess with your seasoning, but this wasn't going real high.
Yeah.
It did kind of work on it a little bit.
A little bit, but that doesn't hurt it really. It just changes the color.
Yep.
Yeah.
And depending on if it's working really high, you might have to re-season your pan after you use some vinegar on it.
Mhm.
It just depends on how you're using it, how much. If you're just doing this repeatedly, you're not gonna have a problem.
Right.
Yeah, you are going to take all the seasoning.
Move around here. Looks like we're starting to plate. Dan gets a little tired carrying that selfie stick around.
It's light, but they get heavy. after a while.
Yeah.
And you got to stand static.
Yeah. Couldn't ask for a more beautiful setting to have a little outdoor picnic here.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the live stream, and yeah, it just looks. I mean, it's what we're looking at, but it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's been a pretty idyllic place. And so these are just mixed greens, it looks like, right? Is there a little kale in there I see, or?
Yeah, there's some kale and 3 other kinds. Some chard, I believe.
Okay.
A couple different lettuces.
And is this from the farm here?
It is.
Okay.
That is Sue's creation.
Sue, can I get you to be on camera and talk about your farm a little bit? I can come to you. I'll come up to Sue because she's got a sweet spot up here. I'm gonna let the chef do some plating. I'm gonna run up here, talk to Sue really quick, no pressure. Because Sue is sort of the mastermind behind our farm here. And I mentioned, well, I'll just let you talk about it. What do you got going here?
Yeah, I raise grass-fed lamb, pastured pork, pastured poultry, all available, you know, to the community to purchase. And then for us, I grow gardens, and I don't sell produce,
Right.
but I do grow a lot of produce for our use.
And
Yeah.
how long have you been in the sort of farming world?
All my life.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up this way.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, my family did this when I was a kid, and yeah, so I've always had animals and
Cool.
been around animals and gardens my whole life.
Right. And how long in Eastern Oregon then?
I've lived in this valley for 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Cool. And
various parts of the valley. We've been out on this place since I think 2014, so about 6 years we've been on this place together.
right. Very cool. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is something most people probably don't have access to, you know, in the world. Majority of the population lives in cities, but why
Sure.
why would you say it's important to maybe be eating, you know, grass-fed animals, or like you raise them? What's your sort of ethics or mentality behind how you are farming out here? Because you don't have a bunch of feedlots and grain bins.
Right.
So
Right.
talk a little about
Yeah,
that.
for me, it's really important to raise animals and use the resources you have at hand. So
Mm-hmm.
you're grazing them on the grass that's growing on your place. Grass-fed animals have a better nutritional profile. Their fats are rich in the omega-3s that are so important for our health, versus a grain-fed animal, which doesn't have quite that same profile.
Right.
Much healthier
Okay.
to raise animals on grass, ruminants in particular, like
Okay.
a sheep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just really important to me to raise healthy food, very happy animals,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Happy animals, happy meat, happy people.
happy people. That's it exactly. Yeah, it really does translate
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Through the whole process.
Does.
Cool. And if people are wanting, so if anyone's local here, where can they find your proteins, your meats to buy, to purchase?
Through me.
Okay. And
Yeah,
how do they
just
reach
through
you?
me. I can give out a phone number. Should I give our phone number? They can call or text me. They can email us.
Okay. Is that information on the Northwest Skillet Company page as well?
It is.
Or
Our
so that-
contact information is all at northwestskilletcompany.com.
Okay. So then that's,
Find all of that.
yeah, that's on the YouTube description. So you can go there to both check out the skillets and also check out what you're doing on the
Right.
farm.
There is a tab there for the farm.
Okay.
And you can get on the waiting list. I'm going to do one more batch of pasture-raised chickens
Okay.
this fall. And I might still have a little bit of room
Oh,
on that list.
cool.
But mostly,
Yeah.
they're mostly spoken for, but I think there might still be a little bit of room.
Okay. Get on that quick. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Run
then
away
as
from the
far
stream
as,
really quick.
As far as picking up a lamb,
Mm-hmm.
those are all spoken for
Oh,
this
okay.
year. So you would want to let me know that you wanted one in 2021.
Okay.
They're
2021
available
lambs.
in the
Well, yeah.
fall, but it's really smart to
Lambs are
reserve
on
them.
back order for
Yeah.
2021.
Really smart to reserve them in the spring.
Okay, in the spring. Good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sue.
Sure.
We're gonna go
Thank you.
check out
Thanks for
the.
being here.
Yeah, let's go see what we're doing over in the kitchen. Where are we at? Looks like our chicken's all off the grill, plating. Brian's back there hiding in the background. Hey, Brian. Brian's our tech wizard. Big shout out to him for getting this all set up. I'm sort of a novice when it comes to this kind of thing, so Brian really helped out with the whole streaming platform.
This isn't the easiest place to put that.
Right, it's actually sort of funny. I don't know if you can see, we've got over here because we are way out in Eastern Oregon in the countryside, we had to rig up an Ethernet cord coming from the house all the way up to this little device here, which just sort of acts as an access point for us to use our Wi-Fi. So it was a bit of a process getting streaming out here, but thanks to the man over there, we did it. So thank you, Brian. Another thing I'll say is that, let's see if I can get back here, is that we did receive generous support from both Travel Oregon, Eastern Oregon Visitors Association, and then some promotion from Oregon's Arts Watch and Oregon's Art Commission to get these events going, just through sort of like their network. So shout out to them, thanks to them. Also like Go Magazine and LeGrand, The Observer, they've been helping us out. And then all of you guys who have helped share our content, big thanks to you. Keep doing it. You can subscribe to our email list on our website there, Travelyr with a Y, travelyr.com, or follow us on Facebook, because we'll be doing more events like this. The goal is to do, one a month and travel throughout rural Oregon, and, rural America, and maybe, eventually the world, and take this all sorts of places, introducing you to artists all across the board. Last month was Megan McGinnis doing acrylic painting, this month here with Peter and John. And so stay tuned, follow us to hear about next month's experience, sort of a surprise yet, but yeah, keep in touch, and also shoot us any emails if you have ideas, or if you're an artist out there who wants to be featured and has a good cause. That's what it's all about. So thanks a lot. Back to our cooking.
So this is kind of a layered dish, I would describe it. It's kind of a layered dish, correct?
Yeah, it's already looks gorgeous. And Laura, do you have a background in cooking at all?
No, not beyond just learning at home.
Right,
My mom always, she used to grind her own flour.
Whoa.
So that's kind of the way I grew up.
Okay.
Homemade bread, homemade everything. So.
Yeah. You're right at home here then.
Yeah,
This kind of
absolutely.
thing. Yeah. Neat. Man, that's so special. I mean, that's such a rare opportunity that you get to be raised like that. That's
Oh yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
right. So we've got a bed of greens, our couscous on top of our greens,
I think I'm getting ahead of you.
it looks like. We've got tomatoes and cucumbers on the side of our plate, and then this tzatziki sauce on top of the couscous, and then come through with a carrot garnish. If you guys are following along, we'd love to see what your meal turns out. So snap a picture of it and throw it on our Facebook page, or just send us an email. That'd be super fun. So go ahead and do that, and let us know if you had any questions on the cooking side or how it turned out. Lauren, you said you were a professor at Eastern Oregon?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Not an educator.
Not an educator.
No,
You did something
just
with
staff
photography
member.
at
Yeah, so I was the communications coordinator. For a long
communications
time.
coordinator.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I was halfway there.
Yeah.
And do you do any photography anymore as a side gig, or?
Not as a side gig, beyond just personal
Right.
pleasure, but for the business though, it's great
Okay.
to be able to
Right.
contribute
Mhm.
from that side of it. For
Totally.
We've got some chopped black mission figs.
Mm. Black mission fig.
Sure. What about that one? Are those gonna go on last? Or?
They're gonna go on next to last.
Okay.
Yep.
I think a really cool thing about what we're doing here at Travelyr is we're not stuck on one art form, because as you can see, this is very much art. This is when you guys say this is a beautiful plating that,
Absolutely.
and there's so much that's gone into this from,
Totally gorgeous.
while we were in the blacksmith shop John was slaving away out here. So, sorry?
Slaving.
Slaving. So yeah, a lot of work and toil, but also just, I mean, there's an art to making this look as good as it is. Because I know if I was doing this, the plate would not look like that.
It's just gonna be a pile.
Yeah,
a
it
jumble,
would be a messy pile.
You know? Yeah, this looks really good. I like the cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are grooves cut into the cucumbers.
Right. He had a special
Channel knife?
channel
Oh,
knife.
okay.
That's right.
Nice.
See, the pigs are getting hungry too. Yeah, I heard them squeal up there. What I was amazed, Sue, is how those pigs, they say pigs are as smart or smarter than dogs, and right? And
They're pretty smart.
They're pretty smart,
I wouldn't
okay.
go as far as saying they're smarter
Okay,
than dogs,
okay.
but
Yeah,
quite smart.
they are quite smart. And
Yeah.
they did, when you called them, they just came running.
Yep, they
Yeah.
know who feeds them and
Mm-hmm.
who takes care of them.
Yeah, yeah. I know who feeds them. That's a big one.
They do.
And she is the
Yeah.
animal whisperer around here.
It seemed like it.
Everybody just follows her around, including me.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that including you, Peter? Is it a safe guess to say you guys baked this bread?
Oh yeah, John. This is John's famous rustic farm style loaf here.
And so is this, it's not, is it a sourdough or?
It's not a sourdough.
Okay.
I actually make the dough the day before, so
Okay.
it has a chance to ferment in the fridge.
Right, okay.
But it is a yeast dough.
Right, there is fermentation that takes place.
Ever so slightly, yeah.
Yeah. Have our onions been sitting on heat this entire time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicely caramelized.
Yeah, look at that caramel. Another thing I'll mention, folks, is that these sessions are being recorded, and so the exact stream you're watching will be on YouTube directly after we finish the session here, as well as some different videos featuring some sort of cleaned up versions of the video, featuring both Peter with Northwest Skillet Company and John with Jack's Dogs Cafe and Books. So if you like what you see and you want to check back and, see what we did in the blacksmith shop again, or send it to a friend, it will be there on YouTube. Just follow the Travelyr YouTube channel. So you can just push that subscribe button if you want, and then you can set reminders for our upcoming shows as well.
All right. I think we're there.
Are we
So I
there?
just topped it off with a little bit of balsamic vinegar and some more olive oil.
Okay, look at that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So we have again, the name of the dish.
It's a Moroccan couscous salad
Okay, Moroccan couscous salad.
with some La Plancha chicken.
La Plancha chicken, right from our farm here. Where are the chickens? Which direction are the chickens? They're back behind the barn.
There are there's a laying flock.
Okay,
back there
so that's where
now,
our chickens came from. I'm gonna set this over here because I think we're ready to eat. John, you want to take a bite and tell us how it tastes? I feel like that's the classic end of the cooking show, right? You gotta go.
Yum. Nice mix.
What's the verdict?
It's got a lot of flavor. I think it's the perfect summertime dish.
Yeah.
Cook it outside, eat outside.
There we go. That's what we're doing. All right, everybody. I'm going to sort of flip the screen around again. And maybe I can get our crew in here. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. There is everybody back there. Thanks to John and Allure with Jack's Dogs Cafe. We've got a great meal here. I'm excited because now I get to set this down and eat. Peter and Sue, thank you so much. Again, all these guys' information is on the YouTube description. And again, any donations you guys feel like giving, go to Art Center East. There's a little blurb there about how they've struggled during COVID. So really a big help there. And last but not least, Brian over there, thanks for the tech. You were a huge help. So everyone, cheers, peace, and hope you're enjoying a meal that we're going to enjoy right now. So, Tulu, thank you.